Welcome to Hiring for Success, Finding the Right Individual. Now, this is part of our eBit series. Our eBit series are tidbits of e-learning information that allows you to view information and help gain guidance that you can make your decisions on what to do next. Obviously, we have our e-webinars, which are 60 to 90 minutes long, and we also have our e-workshops or live workshops that are 1 day to multiple days. So let's move forward. If you're a leader in the business, you're probably looking for perfection, and it's never easy. In fact, how many of us have ever said, if I could just hire the right people for the right position, everything would be fine? However, what happens is we hire people that we think are correct for the position that we're hiring for. They interview well, they assess well if we do assessments, and sometimes we just can't get it right. But there are ways to help shore up and help define that you can gain better results. So let's talk about those moving forward. One of the most important things that I teach when I coach and consult, before you start hiring, define the culture in your organization. Is the current culture where you want it? If it is, then great, then hire accordingly. If the current culture needs change, define what that change is and then hire accordingly as well. This person can help be part of that change, but remember, the change will come from leadership. Ask yourself, do you believe in your mission statement? Your mission statement is your reason for existence. You've told your customers, potential customers, partners, vendors, and employees this is what you want to be held accountable to. Do you stand on your values or principle statements? Remember, principles are values in action. Do you believe in your values? Because who you hire should match those. Do you showcase who you are by your actions, by who you are, by your organization, by what you do in the community? Are you able to set expectations? That's important that when you can do it before you hire someone, and when you're interviewing, and on day one. So here's where we talk about showcasing on your website. What should you showcase on your website? Well, your mission statement should be prominent, and your values and or principles should be prominent. You want to tell people this is who we are. But they also should be showcased on your hiring ad. Your hiring ad shouldn't just be for the position that you're hiring, but it should say, here's our mission, here's our values and or principles that we live by, and here is the job role that we're hiring for. If you think that this is a match for you, please apply. By there, you're helping define that you're culture driven and this is what you want people to match up to. It's a powerful message. Let's speak about the interview. The interview is where you expand on your standards. I'll tell you some best habits that I did. One, I would have a questionnaire, no more than 10 questions that I created. Here is what I did. When the person arrived for the interview, I would go introduce myself and hand them the questionnaire. The questionnaire were questions to see how much they researched us. It would ask about our mission statement, our values, our industry, who our competitors were, and maybe what we did in our community, what they thought about that. And you know, this may have caught them off guard at first, but the message gets around. We wanted to hire people that really had an interest in being employed with us. And especially if you have our employees that refer people for the job, that message will certainly get around and be ready for the questions. Then we would have preset questions that we would ask. That way, if they're interviewed by more than one person, and we do recommend that each of you would ask some preset questions, but then have the ability to take the interview in the direction that it's going. I highly recommend assessments. I do like them. But remember, people know what assessments are, and they may answer the way that they think you want to hear. So learn how to read the assessments and then ask questions testing if the assessment is accurate. You want to test for accuracy. You want to, when they finish speaking, you want to use words like, please expand on that more. Give me examples of that you did this with your last employer. You want to hear real life issues, real life examples, uh, and you will pick this out that there's real, or you're seeing that they're having to dig for them. It's important when you're interviewing to speak of high expectations. In fact, my wording was always, Jim, you're here because we have high expectations and we believe by your resume that you meet those. But let's see through the interview. Then always have the second interviews. Have other people interview so you can match notes. And we had a little scoring system so I can see what others thought of them as well. This was a good practice to have. Let's speak about hiring and day one. You need to instill the standards in your hiring process and on day one. We mentioned about through the interview process to speak about we have high standards here and we believe that you will meet them. In other words, you're telling them we're not just here to meet expectations, we're here to exceed expectations. And that's high standards. That's why we're successful. And you want to maintain that. You want to drive your culture and explain it more. Or we have a culture of this, XYZ. If your values are about work-life balance and having fun, but holding peer-to-peer accountability, or to take initiative and expect accountability, you need to speak to that at that time. First team culture comes from the book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. First team is where you speak about, we like to talk about our disagreements. It's okay to disagree and share your opinions, but we do that professionally. We do that to the person that we're disagreeing with. We do it behind closed doors when necessary, and we don't talk about each other to other people. And in fact, if you do, that person should direct you to go have a first team conversation with the person you need to speak with. That is what's called a first team environment. By allowing people to be vulnerable and share their opinions, it drives better decisions within the organization. But also, we speak about self-accountability. Self-accountability, as I describe it to someone, I would say, Jim, I really hope that you take self-accountability, and I expect you to. Let me explain what that means. Self-accountability first starts with your personal and professional development. In other words, because you know our mission statement and our vision and our values, plus I recommend that you really always stay on top of what our initiatives are, that you help align what you can learn, whether it's skills, and further development that help enhance those and drive them further. When you take self-accountability for yourself, and then there's times where I have investment that I can make in people, you make that choice easy. When you take self-accountability and development for yourself, and there's times for promotion, you put your best foot forward that you can be an easier choice. Then I explain what a career lattice and how to advance there. This takes out any type of entitlement perception that someone may have. We've all heard of career ladders where you go up and down. A career lattice is exactly what it sounds. You could go up, down, or sideways. I teach companies to have a career lattice developed to where it has each role within the organization, how you can move side to side, go up or down, and what are the skills and knowledge for those roles. And I explain this that we can openly show that if you take self-accountability and you might want to change roles, then you know what skills and knowledge are needed for those. And go ahead and take steps for development that when you say, hey, I'm interested in moving into this role, and then you take that self-accountability, you truly show you have that desire. But this is how you advance. And that's what you show with the career lattice. Then I speak to rewards or consequences. I would say, Jim, we manage here by rewards or consequences. I'd like to tell you that everything would be by rewards, but you will have consequences. And in fact, Jim, it's very important for me to point out if you're doing something that I think might hinder your career, in other words, you might be doing it wrong, incorrectly, I'm sure you'll want to know if it's going to affect your work quality. So if that occurs, do you want me to point that out to you? I will say when you do this on day one, everyone says yes. But it's great buy-in because at the time that you have to correct someone, you can remind them of the conversation. Finally, I tell them I'm looking for people who are coachable. Because we have rewards or consequences, there's times that I'm going to need to coach you. I'm going to need to ask you to do things differently. And I'm looking to see if you take that coaching. If there's times of behavior modification, nobody likes being corrected or reprimanded, even if it's to that degree. But how quickly you show you take the coaching and correct your behavior, it will get you back on the reward side. People who aren't coachable won't make it in this business. Hire slow and fire fast. It sounds so easy, but we highly recommend that you build a hiring plan that makes hiring smarter. We spoke about many of these things already. Showcase mission, values, and principles on your website, in the office, on printed materials, and especially on the hiring ads. Have an assessment process that matches your culture, and have a questionnaire at the time of an interview for the applicant, and have preset questions for interviewers, and have the interviewer scoring to compare. Take a deep dive on questioning and test to match the assessment. And most of all, hire character, train skills. What does that mean? Many times we may come across someone that, because of their experience and their skills, it's like, oh man, this person, I'd like to hire them because they can take over this. A lot of times in sales, man, they have great sales history. But if we get any inkling on their character, we have to be careful, because bad character will always show itself. It's the old story of the scorpion that will always sting the frog because they're a scorpion. They can't help it. It comes out. So it's important that we don't take a shortcut and we hire character and we train skills. So hopefully this is a snapshot on some great lessons to remember. But always remember, here's a great quote: what you do has far greater impact than what you say. And this is by the great author Stephen Covey. We want to thank you for attending. If you'd like to email, our email is mark@markvillarreal.com. If you have questions about additional courses, you can send that to contact@markvillarreal.com. My website is markvillarreal.com. My phone number is listed there. And please subscribe to our YouTube, which this will be posted. But as we create new tidbits or other e-learnings or educational videos, you will be notified as well. So please, thank you very much and have a good day.